Well, hello,
Welcome
everybody.
back, everybody. So, once again, here it is on a Thursday. Why am I frozen? Oh, that's not good.
Because you're in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, it might be. Don't know why I froze up. I even have my internet off or Wi-Fi turned off. But anyway, welcome back to Thursday's Joker. We've been talking about scripts the last few weeks, but we're going to talk about one other aspect of scripts. Oh, sorry. Welcome, Ed. How are you today?
I'm fine. I already said that, but you were frozen at the time.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, now I got to hear it too. But
I know you just watched that movie again with your daughter, probably. So that's why you were doing it. So.
Exactly. But no, we're back this week with the Joker, and who we're going to bring in is our friend Joe Ingram. So what's Joe going to talk about is we've talked about how we all use scripts in calls, the importance of scripts, but it's now what do you add to it? So you already have your product, but what are some of the skills that are out there for influence and persuasion? And in particularly, we're going to talk about NLP techniques that are out there. And yes,
before you get in, you said persuasion. Isn't that bad?
It is
persuading people.
Horrible thing.
No, it's not. It's getting people to do what they want already. That's persuasion. Manipulation is bad.
Manipulation is completely bad. And that's the whole thing is people think all the time, oh, persuasion's bad. But I give the analogy that if you go to another country and you demand that they only speak English, you're not going to have as good of a time. But if you attempt to speak their language, that's a form of persuasion and or influence because you need something, but you're asking for it in their language. So is it really manipulation? No, it's just persuasion. But yeah, so
that was not a good analogy for me.
Oh, are you kidding me? If you need something, let's say you need to go to the bathroom in a foreign country. If you don't know how to ask and just demand that they only speak English, unless you're going to do the pee-pee
demand,
dance,
what do you mean demand? Anywhere. How do you demand another person speak a certain language?
Loudly, with confidence.
So when you yell it at them, I need the bathroom.
You didn't know that's not how it works. If they don't speak English, you yell louder, and somehow they understand. You've never seen people try that?
Well, try it again for me. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, a lot of people think, persuasion is bad, and it's not.
Right.
I remember being in sales. I had to do a guy who was like, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. Why?
Exactly.
Right. Why? That's manipulation. And why would you do it in the first place? Just give it to people who need it. And let's move. All right. We could talk about this forever. Let's bring Joe in, shall you?
Yeah.
Is he ready?
I believe he is. He's smiling and waving at you. I don't think it's me.
Are you going to bring him in? Or you want? There we go. Here, I'll get the middle.
Brian's not going to bring me in.
He
prefers to just leave Joe sit out in the cold.
I do. I'm worried he's going to steal my thunder. He did such a good job the other week at Closer School Live, rocking the stage. And, I'm intimidated by him again.
He's so not true because he had the tough time slot and he killed it. And people were like, oh, are we going to sneak out? And they were like, oh, no, we better come back and listen to what this guy's saying. So kept them all in their seat.
Well, that's good. That you're killing it now, Brian.
Yes. Now. I like how you throw in the now. That hurts.
Right.
No, it's
as opposed to how bad you were before.
Yeah, right. Extremely bad. Yeah, extremely bad.
But one of the things I do want to talk about at the end, Joe, is how you got so many calls to action. I know that's not the call today, but it kind of comes into this of you had to think while you were up there, what are all the different ways that you had to inspire people to consider taking an action? That's kind of what we're going to lead into today is, like we talked about on Tuesday, somebody told me last week, neuro-linguistic programming, which is called the study of human achievement, is dead. And so for anybody who's never heard of it, it's called NLP by a lot of things. But if you go and search for NLP, what you're going to get now due to the popularity of AI is you're going to get NLP, which is natural language patterns or natural language processing, depending on which acronym it results
it grabs at that time. Yeah,
exactly. So what we're talking about is neuro-linguistic programming. It was created by Richard Bandler and somebody else, I don't remember who, back in the day. And it was basically the study of human achievement. And
back in the day, you mean back in the 1970s?
Yeah, in the 70s. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 1940s, not back in the day.
Yeah, but the children today
exactly
still think when you said 70, they're like, what?
What?
Yeah. It's over 50 years ago, so that's back in the day.
Parents were born then? Yeah.
Well, that's like someone said 1918 to 1970 is the same as, 7 to today, right?
Yeah.
And people don't.
I hate those signs when you go in somewhere and it says, this is how old you have to be 21 and buy alcohol today. I look at it, I'm like,
Someday you'll be there. Is that what you're thinking?
Right.
Yes, someday.
Triple
That's
that.
always helpful because that way when the guy goes, "When's your birthday?" you already know what number to give him.
That's
Mine,
right.
you had to do math before you did that the first time.
Oh, we just went to a friend of mine's grandparents had a place out in the middle of the country, and you just go in the back, pick up the stuff, and go leave some cash. Yeah.
Oh, we used to have pasture parties living in Texas. And you can go on, and basically people had horses, and you sit around a campfire and you can drink beer, do whatever. So,
knock over cows.
Never went cow tipping.
Cow tipping, yes, for some reason.
Yeah.
But
all right, so here I want to get in one. So NLP, I know about it, I heard about it, but I know nothing about it. That is the one thing I'm not focused on.
And I'll let Joe jump in a second, but if you read through the books, there's some good things. Like, for example, everybody knows about the 4 types of knowledge, like unconscious incompetence and then conscious incompetence. So unconscious incompetence, I don't know what I don't know. Conscious incompetence is I'm aware of what I don't know. And then the next one is conscious incompetence. Or wait, did I screw that one up again? I did this wrong the other day too.
Conscious competence, which means I now know what I need to know, but I have to think about it to perform it.
Right.
So let the expert talk. All right.
Yeah.
No, and then you go unconscious incompetence, which means you don't have to think, which is driving, right? Most people have accidents within 5 miles of their home. Why? Because you're not consciously driving. Your brain is already saying, I already know this. I got it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Like going back to scripting, we have on my scripts, it says, thank you for calling company name. This is Joe speaking. I'm happy to help you. And everybody will go read it. And I go, okay, read it, go. And they go, how can I help you? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to magically change the paper in front of you. Read it again. And they'll still hold on to that same thing. That how can I help you? I'm like, eventually you will read and stop allowing your brain to fill in what it thinks already.
So you're saying it's the opposite of Ron Burgundy from Anchorman, where he just reads everything that's in the teletype?
No, whatever's on the prompter, he's reading. Yes.
We had a president like that too.
We did.
We got one that can't read at all.
But so here's an example. When I wrote my book, there was a mistake in my book. It was quality, right? They put quality instead of qualify. Everybody who read it, who's in my industry, real estate or whatever, they read qualify, right? The only person who read the right way, he worked in quality, and he's like, "You got a mistake in here." And, because it's the same length that you're not going to be able to figure it out through any. So that's the same thing. We read what we thought was going to be there. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's part of what NLP studies is we tend to want to categorize things. So we want to chunk up and chunk down. And I think that's kind of what Joe will go into. But there, in my personal opinion, like we talked about on Tuesday, there are some good things you can learn and take away from the skills. But Joe, how do you use it?
So when I look at anything I'm going to say, it means I am going to be communicating to you for a picture, sound, or feeling in your mind. And so I have to stop ahead of time and say, let me think about what I'm going to be putting in your head so that it comes out as favorable. And if you look at overall NLP, what is it? It's studying people that have the characteristics, traits, or results that you want. So when you said somebody goes, that doesn't work, it's been proven wrong. No, it was proven wrong in your own head because you chose to believe something other than what was being taught. And again, by definition, you just proved NLP works because you chose your original programming that was already there and said, I'm not going to apply anything new that comes in. I want to look and say, what is your identity? What is the person I'm dealing with? How can I modify my speech pattern or my body language or anything in my patterning that I can change to actually match the prospect and come in and put the right things in place. Old school NLP was, I'm going to say something and I'm going to tell you how the answer is supposed to be. So I look at you and go, well, you know what? When right now would be the best time to have this discussion? And then you stop and go, and your brain goes, hold up. He said right now in the middle of what he was supposed to say. That doesn't make sense. So it caught your attention, pulls you in, and then your obvious answer is going to be right now. Okay. And that's just more of the parlor tricks that people use to go through. And so I don't believe that's what we're trying to accomplish in, can I trick you into it? It goes back to what Ed was saying before, which is, right, are you trying to manipulate somebody, or are we persuading for their own benefit?
Right.
And so that's what I look at and say, there's wording, there's proper sentence structure, there's ways to put things in place that get you the result you're looking for, and it's not manipulation.
So Ed, you've never heard of NLP before?
That's not what I said.
That's not what he said.
I thought that's what he said.
Some of us listen to the people on the podcast, on the lives of what they say, so you can keep the conversation going. Other people are looking at their phones and adjusting their cameras.
Yeah.
I said I know about it, but it's not something I've ever used or really got into. I just know it's out there.
Right.
It just hasn't been one of those things that I needed to do. And I want to go back to your statement about when you were talking about their language and how they're talking, that kind of stuff. So if someone has an accent, do you pick up the accent, or is that just too far?
Oh, no, I completely have the accent. Okay. So everybody always mocks me, like, especially, so I, like, again, remember I look like Brad Pitt over the phone.
No, I mean, but if they have an accent, do you pick up their accent?
I do. Absolutely. Right. Now, again, what is my intent? If my intent is to match them to communicate, okay, then I don't come off as being disrespectful and mocking them because of their accent. Okay. So, for example, I was at one of my clients and a customer called in, the very thick Asian accent, and said he was looking for a Toyota Camry, is what he said he was looking for. And I'm sitting with like 15 people behind me going, I'm going to take a live call and show you. And so then I said, oh, my pleasure. I'd be happy to help you with that. How did you want your Camry equipped? Right. And then everybody laughs behind me. There's like, there's no E in Camry. There's no E in Camry. And I'm like, if I stopped and said, how do you want your Camry equipped? Okay. Which is what my script would have said. Right. Then I would have stopped and said, hey, wait a sec. The guy goes, did you just call me an idiot? I just lost any chance of rapport. I just lost anything that was there. But I will pick up, and people all around me always laugh. They're like, we know what accent your prospect has, because you pick it up. And I do pick it up, but I do it with the intent to communicate, so it comes off as very natural. In the whole world of NLP, the more I remind you of you, the more you like me, the more rapport is built, and the quicker we get to trust. And so that's what I'm attempting. But if I turn around and go, how do you want your Camry equipped, to the guy, he's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? So is it mocking, or is it with the intent of communication?
Right. And that's kind of what Joe's leaning towards. Is in NLP, there's a big section of it. And this is probably the one item that people are most familiar with, is mirroring and matching. And so it's more of when you're in front of a person, we think of body language. You cross your arms, I cross my arms. You stick your hands in your pockets, I do the same thing. But what Joe's talking about is you can do that while you're calling people with scripts, and you start using their own words back to them. So I know, Joe, you have one about fantastic versus great. You want to give the example of that?
So again, one of the best things you can give anybody is your attention. And so if you're listening with the intent of finding what are the buzzwords for an individual, okay, and if you use them back, what does that do? It triggers in their brain, you're just like me. It validates that you heard me, but it also says, oh, we're the same. We'd use this. So I have a friend who's a NLP guy, and anything he says that he thought was just absolutely terrific, amazing, fantastic, whatever the word is, he uses out of this world. Okay. Out of this world means absolutely nothing to me. So if he leans into me and goes, hey, you want to know what was out of this world? Right. I go, what? Okay. I'm like, what? It means it's like using it doesn't make any sense to me that it's going to be excitement. Okay. But when I want to talk to him and I need him to pay attention to me, I'm going to say, hey, man, the most out of this world thing happened. And then he goes, what? And he comes in, and it's like, wow, okay, if I could get that kind of engagement, right? A client will look at you and say, look, I'm looking for a significant discount. Okay. then I don't turn around and go, great discounts are all I do, because great is not significant. And we cannot, if you're listening for their word, they have a value assigned to the word they chose. Okay. And if you don't use that back, then all of a sudden you're out of integrity with them. You're out of rapport because they don't know what your word is valued at. So to me, I go, well, hey, based on the size and volume of our company, if anyone could afford to give you a significant discount, it would be us. So now I just shot all my competition, okay, with saying how they're not us. And if anybody could, it would be me. Mm-hmm. So I just flipped everything around to come back to make me the most obvious choice. And for the person who doesn't think NLP doesn't work, who just listened to this and went, oh my gosh, that sounded great. Yeah, it did. So.
All right, well, that was it for the day. All right, let's go bye. So, all right. So if somebody, I get all the time, you know, I want the lowest rate and the least amount of cost, right? And so I always put back to them, I said, well, you know, it's funny because I never get anybody to call me saying I want the most expensive loan out there and the highest rate, right? I don't say it exactly that way, but I say it just, and they laugh, right? Because of course, everybody wants that. And of course, that's what you can get. But, you know, that's not the purpose of what we're trying to do for you. But I wouldn't want to tell them, well, if anybody could, we would be the one to give you the lowest rate and the lowest cost out there. Is that what you're telling me to do from now on?
No, what I was saying, what you did was you anchored back high again. Okay. So what you said to them was even going, I've never had anybody ask for the highest rate, because right now this is what they're thinking. I want the lowest rate possible, right? And the lowest amount of fees. And you go, well, of course, I wouldn't expect, you know, not one person's ever called me and said, can I have the highest rate and the most fees in a loan? Ha, 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 ha. We chuckle because we have to acknowledge that we asked an obvious question. But what you did was re-anchor back up into reality from what their thing is here. So once you anchored it up here, now I can come back and go, look, I understand that getting the best rate for you is important. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll present you with the options I can have. You can choose whichever one best fits your needs. Yeah. Okay. Now they come back and go, oh, great. I didn't say I'm giving you the best rate, because why? I just made an actual, I can't go make my points if I'm over there telling you I'm giving you the best rate. Right. So I don't want to make any.
Because if you focus on cost, you know, cost or whatever, you lose, right? Because if you just look, if they're focused on just the rate and the cost, they stay focused there, you're never going to help them. And there's so many people in my industry, you're like, we're the lowest, you know, rate in town, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be the lowest rate in town because I can't give you everything that you want for that.
Right. Again, all of the services you provide come at a cost. And so I understand you want to overall make it right as cost effective as possible. And that's my goal too. Okay. Right. I want to make it as cost effective for you. That doesn't mean tap into my cost. Okay. But I will say the right words to put it out there and say, in your head, you're going to get cost effective from you saying cost, value versus price.
Right. But so mirroring back to your words, and you were saying, how do you use that out of this world? Right. I can't say awesome. I just can't do it.
Now I know how to harass Ed.
Yes. And again, my question,
there's just some words I won't use.
Right. My goal is this. If I look at the two of you sitting here on the screen with me, I'm saying you each have green money that I want. Okay. And I'm going to provide the best value possible to get that. In order to do that, I have to check my ego at the door, because I'll employ it later after I get your business. And I'll be like, that's right. Okay. I will adapt my personality type, my language for anything I can to relate to you better, to make me the more obvious choice that's there. Yeah. So again, I use words that I don't typically use or makes no sense to me to go through, because the rapport needs to be built and go through.
I don't really get the awesome word a lot out of jobs.
No.
Joke. Yeah.
Well, so a few things that
Brian
Joe
uses all the time.
You know,
yeah, it's awesome how much he uses it.
I know it is. You're going to catch me here in a second. Joe mentioned a few times anchors and anchoring, and people don't necessarily know what that is, but that's kind of what we talked about on Tuesday. And that is An anchor is anything that you do that you want to be able to make a repeatable process. Athletes do this all the time. If anybody's been watching Ted Lasso, what do? They all slap the believe sign when they're going out to play.
Not this season.
I know, not because it got ruined. Shh, don't give it away.
No, don't tell anybody it got ripped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But athletes are
ripped up in many pieces and thrown away. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Tony Robbins has an anchor that he does before he goes out on stage. Athletes have their lucky jersey. That's what an anchor is in NLP. It's anything that you can attach to the outcome that you desire. And so what Joe was talking about you re-anchored from the low price to the high price is you reset their expectation now. And you can do that in a variety of different ways. But the most common thing that people think of is athletes have a something that they hold on to. They don't shave for the season. That can be an anchor. They have their lucky jersey, their lucky socks, you name it, some type of token and or action that they can do to try and recreate that repeatable process.
So you got a challenge coin there, Joe? Is that what that was?
So this is a coin where I anchor to my best self. So the identity that I look at, so I can reach into my pocket at any point where self-doubt creeps in, or I'm sitting there going, oh, I'm a little insecure about something. I can reach into my pocket, touch the coin, and it automatically is anchored to my unconscious to say, this is how we feel. This is what we do. A lot of the speakers, as Brian pointed out, like Tony Robbins, what they do is they will actually anchor their jacket. So when they get to get on stage, they have one jacket that no one else is allowed to touch. Right. And that jacket, every time they felt super powerful, they would go grab the jacket, put it on, be in the feeling, then take it off. Right. Which all of this is considered an NLP practice. That's where you learn it. And so then they go in, they put all these things, these emotions into the jacket. Then no matter how you feel, right? Like I used to have a ring. I had a ring that had a Superman emblem at the bottom. Okay. And that was my totem from Inception, right? Go spin it, make sure you're still in the.
So what happened with your ring?
So I moved it to the coin.
Okay.
Right.
So because in the ring, right at the bottom, what I would do is I would turn it up. And when I saw Superman logo on the top, Superman was there. And so I would be sitting here working on stuff like this, look over and see it and go, hey, and I'm like, oh, it's showtime again. And I'm like, no, stop. And so I couldn't keep it to stay where it was supposed to be. So it would be triggering me all day. And so then it was like, in my pocket, I know I can decide when I'm going to reach in and touch it.
Our friend Sloan Reed is she's doing a book club this month on a book called The Alter Ego Effect. And that's basically another way that they can do it is a lot of athletes and people, they have a nickname that they go by when they have to perform a certain thing. So, when they walk out onto the field, they walk out onto the court, or they walk into that business store, you're no longer Joe, you're the sales genius, right? Is a good example of that. Is you become who you need to be for that temporary period of time. That's a concept that's built upon in NLP.
Right. Yep. But that's back to Zig Ziglar, who said, get a checkup from the neck up before you do anything. I mean, there's so many things that have worked because that I tell everybody, it's like when you go to sit down or stand up to make that phone call in sales, you can turn yourself into a totally different person when you walk in there. You can you're an actor, actress, whatever it is. That's who you are the moment. You just need to turn it on and go. And I have the challenge coins that I normally have, but not in these shorts today. So
nice.
Right.
Those must be big coins. Yeah, they don't fit in shorts.
No, I have something to do after this. Sorry.
Well, I've got something I want you to see real fast.
It's not going to play.
I bet it will.
I bet you won't.
That's just for you, Ed.
Nice.
What is that?
It said everything is
song,
awesome.
Everything is awesome. Yeah, that's all that song repeats over and over. It's from the Lego movie. My daughter listens to it all the time. So as soon as you said that's not your favorite word,
oh, gotcha. There's just some people who overuse it in their total vocabulary. Everything is awesome.
Issues, that was pretty risky playing a video.
I know he's full of bandwidth. I can't even get started. Why am I frozen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are we all frozen? Because Brian's bandwidth.
But
no, back to your coin, whatever that is, and whatever works for you, you need to figure that out, and you need to have that. because it's so important. Because I remember years ago I used to have a rock in my pocket, right? A certain thing, and they were like, find some item.
Johnson?
Huh?
Big pants.
Yeah, not the rock. It was like, yeah.
Okay.
And it was like, whatever works for you that you have that's significant to you is what you should have in your pocket. Put your hand in there, touch it, and turn it on, whatever works for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and understand too, we all have negative anchors that's already there. Okay. And so when everybody sits back and goes, well, that sounds goofy, that sounds whatever, I'm like, okay, wait till mom calls on your phone and you just see mom across the top and you're like, right? And you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden it'll zap. You have people in your circle that when they call you suck every ounce of energy out of you just by you seeing their name on the screen and you didn't even answer the phone. Yep. So that's an anchor as well. That's just an anchor to the bottom. So flip it around and use it for your benefit.
Gotcha. So. I was worried about the word anchor with you being on the show, that it was something else, that you get tied to it and take you to the bottom.
No, luckily it's a positive thing. But
yeah,
Joe is great also in talking about and we mentioned this, we both got to speak at the event last week.
Keep bringing it up, will you?
What event was that, Brian?
Yes, exactly. We both touched on the fact of we use auditory, visual, and kinesthetic language. And that's another concept right out of NLP, like we talked about earlier this week, is you can sit there and look and think, do my presentations only come off in one of those three voices? Because we have a tendency, people learn it, and they're called submodalities, but people learn things through seeing it, hearing it, or doing it. So when you're doing your talks, your scripts, and you're talking with people, you don't know necessarily what they are. Now, there are some facial features that reveal that, but it's always smart to pepper your presentations with all three of those, because even if you're the first person you're talking to, you know what they are. If that process or paperwork has to go up through the company, you don't know who the rest of the people are. Well, so adding in that language to all three of those actually helps you with later on people that you don't get to meet or talk to, so that you're speaking their language once again.
And truly, when you look at that as well, right? The people that are visual, they don't see the language you've written for auditory people.
Right.
Okay. Their brain just goes right past looking for what they're looking for. Okay. Because I will write things in certain personality types. When I do training, I will repeat myself 3-4 times, and people don't know I repeated it because I was talking to a different section of the audience that finally went, oh, that's what it means. Oh, that is what it is, because you're breaking it up and doing it. But auditory people, right? We're over here going, wow, I'm listening to every word you say. And when you say a wrong word, it hurts. Where a visual person doesn't even care that you just used a wrong word, because they were watching your body to make sure you did. They don't even know you when you say something wrong. They catch it when you react. When you're like, oh no, that's and they're like, okay, yeah, I get it.
And to Joe's point, how can you be in a crowded room but you can hear your name when it comes out? And that's because we all have key words based on things that are important to us or how we learn, right?
It's the best sound anybody can hear is their name. So,
right,
yeah.
Ted.
So use it in your presentation as much as possible. What'd you say? I mean, I did miss this. I wasn't listening. I was looking at the body language.
I said, you're right, Ted. Yes.
Just so people don't know, he called me Ted forever.
Well, it was Get Ted's Book was the first.
That was what I kept saying. Get Ted's book. Go get Ted's book. Brian's like, it's Ed. I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm sure that's a good book as well, but it's Get Ed's Book.
Right.
Well, I actually had somebody the other day go, I cannot believe there wasn't another Ed who had a book, right? Who didn't get that domain before you. I'm like, oh, no one took Ed for mayor. So
yeah. Well, Joe is notorious for this. When he does affiliate marketing, he's got a certain sequence that he uses to go buy the website immediately, and he uses it nonstop.
Don't tell everybody, because it's a secret.
I don't want to give it away. But he's, as soon as he finds a product he likes, he puts that, he goes and buys that URL that's a take action for this product, and that's how all of his affiliate links work. It's funny.
I have a friend who puts get in front of it, right? That's his stuff. So you guys go ahead and steal anything you want. It takes him out of the market from doing the affiliate stuff, not mine, right? But again, you would say, oh, do you want StreamYard? Oh, I recommend StreamYard. You say get StreamYard.com is what you go get. And then you can tell people, just get StreamYard, and you just keep repeating it. And they think that's the website for the product. And that's what I do with mine as well.
So, yeah. Well, the only problem is, go high level just doesn't work.
Right.
You'd be surprised.
You can though. Yeah.
If
mine is much better than get. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I'm a URL freak. I've got, close to 400 now between the services, but looking at it, that's a great way to engage people that's out there, because why? Again, I'm going to give it to you as something easy for you to understand,
right, exactly,
that you can remember, right? I bought the one that says, I'll never remember that URL.com. Because how many people are doing it? I'm like, I want to do that for my billboards on the freeway.
Yeah.
Just simply put up the thing and go, I'll never remember that URL, because they'll laugh and then they'll remember that one. They'll go, I know I wouldn't remember it. Oh, I just did.
Well, that's like that Asian food restaurant that's Asian food near me.
Yeah.
No, there's actually that's what they named their business.
That's genius.
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny. What I see, I saw a bar the other day. He's not here. It's the name of the bar.
So one of the things too, as we were going before, Brian had mentioned the chunking part, right, where, we're going to go in and everybody processes things in chunks. So you get a chunk of data. So the example I was always taught was that a bucket in a well can only hold a bucket's worth of water. And so you got to send the bucket down, bring it back up, and then you dump it out. Your brain works the same way. So your brain sits down, you have a certain bucket full of information you can talk to at one time, right? And it's really the buffer of your conscious mind being how much can it hold. So then you simply go and you spit out any part of your sales presentation or what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you got to go crank that bucket down. And if you watch people, you'll see the bucket moments, right? Where all of a sudden they sent it back down into their unconscious to pull out the next batch of words that they're going to say, and they'll go through, because they're going to, you know what? I totally get this. This is exactly what you're looking for. And I believe you can get, and you're like, bucket moment. You just had to go get the next set of words that came up.
They talk about people learning threes. And that's why when you give phone numbers, da, 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 and then you have to go, of course, do the fourth on the end. But there's all kinds of literature out there about, in any sales or marketing offer, have no more than 3 to 5 offers. So you have to have at least 3, no more than 5, because that's what people can remember. And who is it? Russell Brunson says a confused mind says no.
Right. And I say a confused mind will never click submit on your forms, right? Or on your order forms. But people process things in 3s, 5s, or 7s, depending on how their brain is wired. It has nothing to do with intelligence, but it's 3, 5, and 7. Mm-hmm. But if you look and go, so I like to point it out. And when I teach it, I say, listen, people either talk at 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. So listening to the person, can you match their speed? Mm-hmm. Because if somebody's doing 70 and someone's doing 30, how much of a conversation can you have? Right? That's all you're going to hear. Right? And why is the Prius in the fast lane? But looking at you,
that's the $1 million question, man.
I'm telling you, I don't get it, and they just go straight over like they own it. But looking at that, right? Can you adapt your speed of conversation to match this person? But the reason they tell you to stick to 3s is a 70-mile-an-hour talker can hear and understand a 30-mile-an-hour talker. Mm-hmm. Okay, a 50-mile-an-hour talker can understand a 30 that's there, but what does the 70 think of the 30-mile-an-hour person? You're an idiot.
I gotta go.
Yeah, you're an idiot. Speed it up, right? Where
the like on my way here. Get the fuck out of my way. Let's go.
30-mile-an-hour people look at the 70-mile-an-hour people as they're shady. Okay, they're like, oh, end of a radio commercial. So if you realize that, you then start paying attention, which again, the attention gets you the rapport. Mm-hmm. You start paying attention to what they're saying. Brian says it all the time. Look at their eyebrows so you can understand them, but it mimics eye contact, which people are like, oh, we have eye contact. This must be a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. Not like this, but okay. You have to get it the right way.
Or looking down at your phone.
Right. Yes. Like when you start Zooms and stuff like that. Yeah. But when you look at that, I want you guys to understand, pay attention to them. And this is, again, taught through NLP. Take the pieces of everything you have. I go to trainings all the time. And the answer is, what piece can I take now that I can add to utility belt, as Brian calls it? Right? That's right. I just have a tool bag that I carry around with me. So, yes. But that's what I'd ask, is just say, guys, pay attention to the speed. Now, the only way, this is what I like to, because I'll tie it all the way back to when we started the week. You look at it and say, guess what? I can't take my 30-mile-an-hour talker and make them talk at 70 miles an hour unless they have memorized that script. Mm-hmm. That's the only way they can speed up. Right? Because if you go, what's your cell phone number? And I do this to people in class all the time. What's your cell phone number? They go, "Buh," right? And that's 10 digits. And if you think the person thinks in threes, that's going to be area code. And then their brain goes, do I grab the prefix next, or do I hold on to the area code? That's how you'll get it. You'll find out how many they can handle, but it's 10. So it's very rare that anybody can remember a phone number that isn't in their own same area code.
Well, the same thing would be with the same person. You go, what's your kid's cell number? That's the 30-mile-an-hour, right? Because you're like, fuck, what? I don't have no clue.
Right. Press speed dial 2. Yeah.
Yep.
But that's all I'm saying, is that you got to pay attention to the person, match their speed. That's going to help with the rapport. But again, that's also training through the NLP side of things. There
what
is
you're saying
is
is
part of NLP too, right? And that's where people get the vibe wrong, because most of the time, once you learn that people speak their beliefs and people speak, right, and you can get all of the person's mindset, belief, and stuff out of what they're saying. Most people on NLP start going, they all do this squinty thing as they're trying to analyze everything you say. And you're like, I don't want to be around you. You look creepy. And so
what you're saying is it's better to be the 70-mile-an-hour person, because you can talk to everybody.
Yeah. Or memorize your stuff, and you can speed up and slow down to match who your person is.
And you know how you can find the 70-mile-an-hour people? They're the ones that leave voicemails really fast, and you have no freaking clue what they just said. My wife always goes, you need to slow down. And I say, I've said my phone number on radio for so long, so I say it the same way, and my wife makes fun of me. She's like, why do you say it like that? It's like, because that's how you say it on radio.
Well, so one of the things I'll tell you too is that based on each digit represents part of your chunking that you're going to take in, right? I noticed a lot from the Hispanic culture. Hispanic cultures, when they give you their phone number, like my last 4 digits is 8526, they go 8526. So 85 becomes one number, even though it's 2 digits if I spell it out. So when I tell people, go ahead, leave your phone number twice on the voicemail, I'll tell them, go through, say it the way you normally do, digit by digit. And then the second time you go, it's this, this, and this, 8526.
Interesting.
And so when they're ready to do, I'm taking up less chunks.
Yeah, I saw that Progressive commercial too, or something. Where that went. What'd they do wrong? Didn't leave his phone number twice.
Yes.
And the other thing to do is leave your phone number in the beginning, so they don't have to listen to the message twice to get your phone number.
Well, speak clearly, could you please? Because everybody's got a transcription thing going. And I go back through and I look and I'm like, I don't want to call you back because I have no idea what you just said.
Parcaut, when they say that, never comes out right when they leave that on.
I feel you there. I feel you.
Galke.
Because nobody can say Galke.
No, even my when I tell it to call you or whatever, it's like, call him Brian Galke. It doesn't say Galke. It's like Galk.
It's Galk.
Yeah. Me and Siri, we have no love.
Wasn't Siri. It was the other one.
Oh, that's right.
It's in the vehicle. Yeah.
I got you. All right. So I know, Joe, you got to go on this one. So to wrap a bow on it, you on a regular basis use some of the NLP techniques. It's not the ones that everybody thinks of. Mirroring and matching, you can do it through what they say, repeating their words back to them. And then when you're in person, you're paying attention to their body language, because we both know Janine, right? She's big on body language and things, but you're not trying to always automatically mirror and match to control it, but you'll pay attention when you are in rapport with somebody. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. And so in NLP, when it comes to the body language and leading people, it's the follow, lead.
Yes.
So you follow their example, then you do something different and see if they do it as well. And as soon as you do, you're in unconscious rapport with that individual. Right. And so I will tell you, currently, all of my match and mirror is completely unconscious. I don't think about it anymore.
Right.
I just, I'll stop and I'll go, there you are. You're doing the same thing they're doing. Right. Which makes it awkward in a sales negotiation. I'm like, hey, look at me looking like you. Yeah. No.
But when you're talking about words, you're not matching all the words. You're matching the big word, the one that that big word that they're looking for. Because I think a lot of people think, matching means you're going to do no, it's that one word that means the most to them in that. Right.
Correct. What's their keyword? And even Chris Voss talks about that. He just calls it parroting. Yeah. And that's
when you have a parrot on your shoulder.
It is. It's when you become a pirate. It's really
is that like a falconer?
You have to stab yourself in the eye and then get an eye patch, but yes, use a parrot. It's you parrot back what you think the key word is that they use. What's the main part of what they said? Don't repeat their exact statement, but pick out what's important out of their statement that you repeat back to them, and then they know you're listening and paying attention to them.
Kids do this all the time. It's just the bad word. Right? Yeah. You sit there and you go, and then the kids out there going, and you're like, hey, I said 10 other words in that sentence. What are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah. He said,
right.
All the young boys, I tell you.
Yes. But also, so again, what I tell people, match their words, right? You're going to, if you're physically in the room, match them. Good job. Look at Ed go. Right. You're gonna match them physically, match their wording, match the speed at which they talk, and then also try to match your volume and tone to what they're at. It doesn't make sense for you to be up here and them down here. That goes on because it's just going to your brain is continuously looking at people saying, are you like me or are you not like me?
Exactly.
That's what your brain is doing. And all NLP is doing is telling you what to look for so that the brain of your prospect feels that you are more alike than you are different.
Gotcha. Joe, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for being a repeat guest. So far, our top repeat guest. Wow. I'd say you're popular.
Because Joe is the first part of Joker.
Yeah. Well, no, that's his checks cash.
Well, that's true too. Actually, well, if we zoomed in on his coin, what is the coin?
It's going to be funny, but yes, you're right. So on one side it says genius because sales genius. Right. But on this one, if you zoom in, it is the Joker.
Right.
So I got you.
Yeah, he's got it covered there.
That's right. Anyway, it's like he knew what we were going to be putting together. I don't know. He's got a helmet that has that, all kinds of stuff.
My motorcycle license plate says Joker Rocket on it. We're good.
He's kind of a stalker fan, Ed.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So before we go, I have a question. What's the Joker to you? Why the Joker?
The Joker is the perceived evil that brings balance, and so you have no Batman without Joker. So
you got Superman.
Superman has how many other ones? Doomsday, the killer of Superman. Yeah. So,
and here's
I'm huge Darth Vader, right? It's like, okay, I'm all about the dark side.
My favorite Darth Vader meme is the one that says, sometimes, what is it? Successful people lift others up, and it's Darth Vader like choking the guy out.
Exactly true. Exactly true.
I'll put that one in the show notes.
Yeah, for next time.
Yeah.
All right. Joe, again,
thank you. Put the link to that video about Awesome?
I will. I'm going to put that in the chat also.
He'll start everyone from now on with that one for me.
Yes. That's going to be my ringtone when he calls.
You're awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Yeah. Again, you want me to take us out there, Brian? Or are you going to?
Yeah, go ahead, Ed. You got the radio voice.
All right, everybody. Again, Joe, thank you so much for being here today. Brian, thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for watching and listening. If you like what we do here, the easiest way to support us is just go to our YouTube channel and subscribe.